If you always struggle to stay focused while studying, then you're not alone. Study shows that more than 49% of people think their attention span is shorter than what it used to be. And 50% of us check their phone on average every 12 minutes. The modern world is now filled with an ever increasing number of distractions, and for students especially, it's becoming harder and harder to stay focused. But with some simple tips backed by a bunch of research, we can actually improve our focus. So this is what we're going to go through this video. We will talk about 5-step framework that will help us improve our focus tremendously. Step 1 is about mindset, step 2 is environment, step 3 is technique, step 4 is the human factor, and finally we will talk about a section in which we will see how we can identify the motivations to increase the focus. So when it comes to mindset around focusing, we need to get away from the idea that focus is something that we have or we don't have. Because focus is absolutely something that you can develop. We need a growth mindset when it comes to focusing. We should think of focus as something that can be learned rather than something that is innate to us. The way I think about this is, do I really struggle to focus when I'm playing video games? Probably not. Do I really struggle when I'm hanging out with my friends or watching a movie on Netflix? If the movie is boring, probably yes, but otherwise not. So, do I struggle when it comes to studying for my exam? Yes. Okay, cool. So what's going on there? Consider this, when I'm playing video game, I'm having fun. It's enjoying. So the mindset with which I approach things that really needs to be focused on is, how do I do it to make it more fun? In other words, how I can develop it in a way so it becomes enjoyable. Some people develop this defeat mentality that if you continue working with the same mentality, you will one day become a doctor or engineer down the line. But do you think that it is really worth it? It's like without focusing, you're just suffering every day. I really don't like that approach to life. And I think everyone will have the same feeling about this. Because you have to think about, you have this short time on earth, and instead of suffering every day, you should actually having fun doing stuff. Because it's really about how to enjoy the journey before the destination. So that's the kind of mindset you should be approaching things whenever it comes to focus. So how to make things more fun? Firstly, study becomes more fun when you do it together with the friends. So you can get together with a bunch of friends, divide your subjects, and then have a group study, discuss all the topics for some time, then take a break, and then get on with the studies again. This techniques works really good. So that experience make studying much more energizing because now you are doing it together with friends, and that will help you focus more. And sometimes you don't even need to do it in person. You have Zoom and conference calling which can help you get together online in a virtual meeting room and do the group studies. Another aspect how you can develop a good mindset while studying is to think of whatever you are doing, whatever you're studying is some kind of adventure. For example, you can divide it into how many tasks you are going to do and what is the main highlight of the task. Another way of saying it is that what adventures you are going to do today. In this way, you can make your whole day a journey full of adventures. How you will do it is you get prepared yourself, like you dress up, like you're going on an adventure. For example, you go on some picnic, you're going to the forest with friends, you do all the homework, all the exercise, you collect all the tools. So for the study, you have to collect everything, you have to dress up. For example, you can even wear shoes, you can even wear a complete dress while you're sitting and studying at home. That will feel like you're doing something adventure and you're not feel lazy about it. In this way, if you frame all your task as an adventure, like you can play a music in the background while you're doing stuff, so it will feel like a complete adventure you're going through. It will feel like you're going through stages of a video game, and it will become more fun, more enjoyable. Now we'll talk about the step number 2, and it's the technique. So with the technique, you have to follow some kind of a formula. Like for example, you have to decide how longer you're going to study. Studies show that if the duration of study is long, it becomes hard to focus. So you have to adapt a time span for which you can focus on the study and then take a break and then go on with the study again. This technique is called Pomodoro technique. For example, you can decide a 25-minute duration of time to study. 25 minutes are enough to do a reasonable amount of work, and then it also doesn't feel long enough because the break is just around the corner. And what you can do in those 15 minutes, you create a small deadline. What deadlines will do is it will encourage your action. So with these mini deadlines, it will become a time pressure situation, and that will encourage us to be more productive in that short span of time. And later on, to relieve the pressure, the break is around the corner. And once you accomplish that mini deadline, that will become a good sort of motivation. To adapt that technique, you can choose some kind of a timer, for example, an app. You can even write it on a stopwatch on your mobile phone, or you can even use Google. You can even use an hourglass on the table. So there are tons and tons of ways. Even you can ask some friend to interrupt you after this time. So setting the timer is unreasonably effective to increase your focus. There's also a concept of task switching, but in general, task switching is a bad idea because when you switch your attention from one task to the other task, there is an attention residue that leaves in between. So that's why it's best to laser focus on one particular task for a duration of time. In this way, you can accomplish the task very quickly. That takes us to our step number 3, which is environment. When it comes to environment, you have to take care about that how to remove the distractions. There are a lot of studies to prove this fact that if you have your phone on your desk, that reduces your focus a lot compared to if your phone is in another room or someplace far. Another thing regarding distractions is some distractions you need to embrace as well. For example, there are some distractions which are badass distractions. For example, some random news on the Twitter, some notification on the Facebook that are considered as bad distractions. But there are some distractions that are considered to be good distractions. For example, if you have a spouse at home or if you have kids and they want to come in and talk to you, I think that should be considered as a welcome distraction. For example, there are some friends, they just surprise you and that will take your attention away from your task. But even it takes your attention away from the task, that should be a welcome distraction. Because the important thing is, even though the work is important, but relationships and your mental health is much more important. And all these factors are related to your mental health and your relationships. Another aspect with environment is to have an inspiring environment is also another important factor that enhances your focus. For example, the study shows that having some plant around your workspace makes you more creative. So I like to go to co-working space where I find people who are also working, and that kind of a good design and good creative environment that will give you inspiration. But this thing will not work in every situation. For example, I'm filming a video, I need to have focus, I need to have attention, I need to have no noise around me, so I would rather consider a quiet room instead of a co-working space. Another idea regarding the inspiring environment is that you have to make sure that there should be a balance with what you think is good for you, good for your inspiration, because then you may find yourself dependent on the environment as well. For example, you need a coffee at your workplace, and that makes you dependent on the coffee, that you will not work if you don't have a coffee. So I think in this way you are making constraints for yourself, and that will hinder your performance. So these things should be considered good to have, but you should not be totally dependent on them. Number 4 is human factor. When it comes to human factor, these are the basic stuff. It's rest and sleep and exercise and nutrition. You may find a lot of people who struggle to focus. They're struggling because of these things. For example, they do not prioritize their sleep. They are until 4 a.m. using their phone, or they are going out having fun with the friends. Not taking care of their nutrition, they are eating shitty food, not doing exercise every day. It's not that harmful when you're young because you can eventually recover from that. But it will considerably decrease your focus. There are tons of studies about effective health, effective nutrition, effective rest, effective exercise. So it is really unreasonable to avoid this factor. The idea with nutrition, most people struggle is with caffeine. What I think coffee is actually very effective when you're working, when you need to focus on some task. But you have to consider the timing as well. For example, some studies shows that after 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. it is not advisable to take caffeine, or do not take a certain amount of caffeine per day. So that will help you increase your focus, and you will not be more dependent on the caffeine, and that In this way, you will create some balance and it will not affect your daily cycle of rest, sleep, and then get to work. So instead of making yourself dependent on caffeine, some kind of drug, you should work on a proper routine. And when you leave work, you do some kind of sports activities. In this way, you will have a balance between your work and your life, which is essential for your health. For me, morning walk does a really good job. Having a cup of coffee, going out for a walk with the sun, that helps you amazingly in different ways. And finally, point number 5 when it comes to staying focused while you're studying is to appreciate the idea of identifying motivation. This idea of identified motivation is genuinely life-changing. This will eventually becomes a basis of your motivation and you will stay focused when you are doing studies. You will stay much more disciplined when you are doing your daily rituals or your studies. So all these points help you study with more focus, and these not only regarding studies, in every aspect of your life that will be very helpful. So that was all about focus. Thank you so much for watching this video and I hope to see you in the next one. If you like this video, do like and subscribe.